Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I talk to strangers I've never met before, interesting people around Milwaukee. And today we have the the founders of Hatched.
Yeah.
Collectively together, right?
Yeah.
Allison and Craig.
Correct.
Yep. That would be bad if I messed up that already. We're already going downhill from the very beginning. So I guess to start off, why did you come up with this concept and how? Like, where did it come from initially to start your own bakery and to do that? Because that's tough to start your own business. I mean, I had never done it, but I'm assuming it's hard.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not easy, that's for sure.
Getting harder every day.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just new things that pop up that we never would have thought about before.
Okay.
It's more than just, I'm going to make pie. There's so many details that go into it that when people are like, oh, I'm going to start a business, they don't necessarily think of everything that goes into it outside of the main reason why you'd want to start it.
Right. It's like the fun idea of why you want to start, not all the administration and all the other stuff that goes on afterwards.
The paperwork and dealing with taxes and all of that fun
all
stuff.
the fun stuff.
Yeah,
that
because
no one talks about.
We just make pie. That's all we do.
That's all we do.
All we ever do.
Everyone else handles all the other
Yeah,
stuff. Because even when I freelanced video stuff, and that's annoying to do for taxes. Like, that's not even in my own business, but that's like already irritating. So I can't imagine like the scope of actually having your own business. So where did the idea come from initially?
We've always wanted to start a business together. We just didn't know where and when it would be in our lives. And you know, we just happened to move back to Milwaukee after being gone for a while, and we decided we just wanted to do it.
Yeah, we've been together for about 7 years now, and I've always been into baking. I've worked in the food industry for years and years and years, but baking was always my thing.
Yeah.
And it was my stress reliever, and when we got together, he saw that regardless of what I would do during the day, I'd come home and I'd bake, and I would bake for people.
Oh, cool.
And so he saw something in me from the start that I never saw.
That's
and
cool.
he's like, you need to do this because you're already doing it, but you need to do it on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
And then it was just never the right time. And after being away, like he said, for so long, we came back to Milwaukee, and now there's this renaissance in the food industry here.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is our chance to really go for it.
Yeah.
We don't have anything right now. We don't own a home. We don't own anything.
Oh, really?
We don't have kids.
Yeah.
And we don't have any connections here of any kind. So it wasn't like we really were going to fall flat on our faces. It was either we're going to try it now and we fail and then we do something else, or we don't do it and then we regret it.
Yeah.
And so we just launched, and we're like, let's go
see
for
what
it.
happens.
Yeah, you weren't worried about they're going to take away our house if we did that doesn't work,
it's very low risk right now. So
Yeah. They're not going to take away our dog. No.
Yeah.
Nobody is. So where were you guys before you came back here? Are you originally from Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we both are.
Okay.
I grew up in the Tosa area, and he grew up about 10 minutes away, just in the Milwaukee-Tosa border.
Graduated from UWM, 5 years ago now?
Okay.
So, yeah, Milwaukee's home, and we left. I wanted to be an organic farmer, so went out and did that. Ended up in Door County for a few years. Allison was with me the entire time. And she was also working in other bakeries and stuff along the way.
Yep.
And we decided our time in Door County was up, and we traveled for about 4 months and then moved back to Milwaukee. So we really didn't have anything going on.
Yeah.
Nope.
You're just like, why not?
Well, why not?
We quit our jobs, moved into a van with our dog, and then...
How was that experience? Like, was that scary at all? Like, just like quitting your jobs and just being like, all right, we're going.
Well, you know,
we consciously made the choice.
We consciously made the choice.
Yeah.
We saved up money for it, and we said, here's our budget. We've got, a pocket full of cash, and when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Unless we get lucky in Vegas, and we didn't.
We didn't really try either.
Yeah.
No. We won $20.
Yeah.
But, so that was the perfect time to do that.
And that was also our honeymoon, too. So it was like our time to, we don't know what we're going to do. We don't have a plan once we leave Door County, so let's just take this time.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like starting the business. If we don't do it now, we're never going to have this opportunity again.
Yeah.
And living in Door County, it's such a seasonal place
that
you work one season and then the winter is dead.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we'll finish out this season.
Yeah.
Pack up our stuff. Nope. Take our dog, and we'll just see where the wind takes us.
Yeah. So where does the name come from? Where does Hatch come from?
That comes from me growing up with my mom and my grandmother. Okay. That my grandmother passed away when I was very young, but my mom always tells stories about her. Okay. And just things that she would say, and so now my mom obviously says them as well. And she's like, "Oh yeah, my mom used to say that when I was little." So I grew up with my mom always saying that anything that was new, a new idea, a new baby, anything like that was freshly hatched.
Oh, okay.
And so hatch kind of just stuck in my mind of whenever we had this chance to do our own thing, this new, fresh idea kind of coming out on our own, we're hatching.
Yeah. That's cool though. I like that.
So it's just really coming into my own and being my own person and doing my own thing.
Yeah.
So that's really where it comes from. So I know it doesn't make a lot of sense with pie, but
it makes sense really once you tell the story. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to, as long as it makes sense to you, that's all that matters. Yeah. But so scaling your business from like the start, because you guys are in a ton of different like coffee shops and places around here now, like what was the initial process of doing that, like reaching out to people and being like, hey, take our pies?
No plan.
Take our
This just happened.
Did it really?
Yes.
It really did.
That's so crazy.
Yes.
So,
yes.
It was not last summer, the summer before. So summer of 16, we were kicking around the idea of doing this.
Yeah. It was 17.
17, sorry. And then I was looking all over the city for a commercial kitchen, and I was just couldn't find one. I knew I didn't want to share one. I had a little bit of money to build out a kitchen if I had to. Yeah. And I just made a phone call one day to something I saw in the grocery store. It was a package of cookies. It said it was made in Brookfield, Wisconsin.
We started Googling.
So I started Googling the address that was on there for her packaging. And then I finally just called her, and it was the Naked Baker. And she told me her whole life story. How she grew her business, and how she was about to open up a new production kitchen.
Oh, okay.
She needed brand new equipment. She was moving out of the spot that she was in.
She's certified gluten-free. Okay. So she needed to have a new space that was actually certified gluten-free to continue with what she wanted to do.
Sure.
So it was like, Greg, can I swing by and take a look at the place? And she's like, yeah, sure, swing by. And we're like, all right.
And she's like, my lease is up in about a month and a half. They don't have anybody lined up yet.
It's not on the market.
Yeah.
We're like, all right. So we just literally walked in, swooped in, and said we'll take it.
Wow.
She sold us all her equipment.
Sold us a bunch of her refrigeration, freezers. She sold us
her convection oven that already had venting, so we didn't have to put that in, which is a huge cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For less than $2,000 for all of that.
Wow.
So our initial investment was very small.
Very small
very
into
small.
That.
Yeah.
And we weren't anticipating that.
Yeah.
And that's a nice little perk. We ended up going rent-free for 4 months there as well, because they understood, our landlords were like, we understand you're a new business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Things are happening quick. So just, relax. And I was like, okay. So we did. And you ended up quitting your job in
February of last year. Yeah.
And at the time, we were just doing...
We didn't know what was going to happen at that point.
Yeah.
And at that point, we had only been doing pop-ups at Pilcrow on the weekends.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of January, middle of January.
Yeah.
And about a month in, we're like, well, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
Why don't you quit your job? You hate what you're doing anyways.
Yeah.
I was a pastry chef downtown anyways, so it's not like I was really doing anything different.
Sure.
But it just made sense. And then all of a sudden, once I let go of that and put myself full force into Hatched, things just started clicking.
Just clicked.
And it hasn't stopped since then.
Yeah, you guys have grown like tremendously in the period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Yeah,
we didn't even know where we were gonna sell our pies. We just knew we had a commercial kitchen,
and you're just gonna start making.
And we were just gonna see what happens. And
we weren't in any markets.
We weren't at farmers markets. We didn't even. We applied, and thankfully Tosa and Shorewood let us in.
Yeah.
And once we went to that first market, with 100 hand pies, and we're like, all right, I hope we sell them all. And we're scared, we're nervous, we don't know what to expect.
45 minutes later, we were sold out.
Done.
It was a 4-hour market.
Dang.
And we couldn't leave until the market was over.
Yeah. We're like, sorry,
so we're just standing there. And our like jaws just dropped. You're like, okay,
this is gonna happen.
This is happening. So next week I would bring like 150 or something like that.
35 minutes.
Gone. So now we've created a buzz in that market, and we're now people's first stops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now we, know what our market is there. We know our numbers and our pars are, and
it's just kind of fun though, seeing that love for us almost initially, and we weren't even sure how to deal with it either. It's a weird way to
start off so hot.
Exactly. And then you're like, well, when are we going to crash and burn? When is this going to stop?
Yeah.
And it hasn't stopped yet. Then again, we don't stop either. I'm kind of crazy when it comes to that I don't stop ever.
Yeah. Are you the one making all of them, or do you both make the pies?
It's me.
It's you. Yeah. So like when you have to make all that production, like is that just you doing all that? Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. So like how many are you selling to like businesses and stuff, or not? Or
well, in the last year when we were looking at numbers, we did well over 20,000 hand pies out of the kitchen.
Yeah. That is a ton. Mm-hmm. That's so many.
Mm-hmm. All with these
for one.
All handmade.
Wow. Yeah, I hand roll everything. I hand mix everything. I don't let anyone else make dough. I don't let anybody else mix the dough, cut the dough, any of it. We've gotten really good at being efficient in creating shortcuts. Okay. So we par everything as much as we can. So we'll cut and weigh all our butter and lard and flour bags and everything so that when I go in, I can make 8 batches of dough in under half an hour, which will make like 144 hand pies.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we've gotten it down to a much more efficient system, but to grow anymore, I obviously have to let go and have other people help me. Yeah. But we've gotten to this point now that we've done so much in the last year. And as far as like what the businesses take, it's anywhere from like a dozen hand pies a day to sometimes they'll take 3 dozen or whatever it may be. And Birch and Butcher has been by far our best wholesale client. And they actually yesterday was a 1-year anniversary of them having us in their shop. And it's just been a great partnership with them for sure. And it's just a nice stability.
And
knowing, hey, I can do some experimenting and still have a little revenue coming in.
Yeah. So why pies? Like why specifically did you choose pies?
I don't like cake.
Everything else is bad.
Yeah, everything is terrible. No. Growing up, I was never a cake eater. Mm-hmm. My dad decorated cakes. My aunt is a cake decorator. So we would always have like really fancy desserts and things. And my aunt does like all the wedding cakes and everything. So that was always a big thing in our family.
Sure.
But I was never a cake eater. I was also not like, I didn't like pizza or any typical kid stuff. I was weird. I was a very weird child. I'm still weird.
Very weird.
But pie was always my thing, specifically lemon meringue. I would actually rip off the meringue and just eat the lemon filling. Because I liked really tart stuff. But pie was also the first thing that I learned how to make with my mom, specifically rolling out the pie crusts. We would have quiche and things a lot when I was younger. It was one of the things my brother would actually eat. He was a very picky eater. So it just made sense. And then that grew into just food memories with her that she would do the large pie plate and she'd give me the scraps and I could use the leftover like pot pie plates and use the little ones, and she gets the big oven, I get the toaster oven, and so she would just let me kind of do whatever I wanted all the time and just experiment. I could put whatever I wanted into it too. So generally, I like to use baking soda as a child, which is a terrible ingredient as a main ingredient. I've since learned.
I don't really bake that much, so I don't know.
Don't use baking soda as the main ingredient.
It's bad.
Well, you can use it as a leavener, but not as a main ingredient.
And that's what. So the steps you take now and the recipe that you use now for the pies, is that one that you've been doing for a long time? Or is that like a newer? Have you like tweaked it since you started the business?
It's a recipe that I've kind of honed in on from working with my mom in the kitchen and then going to school for a little while and just different experiences around also technique of actually making the dough. So the recipe isn't from my childhood, but I've taken bits and pieces from like every aspect of my life and built it into this specific recipe. Sure.
And how do you like come up with the ideas? That's what I was always like. There's some like out there stuff that I wouldn't have thought of. Like the Fruity Pebbles eggnog kind of stuff, and like where does all that come?
Well, the ideas are easy, you know.
It's whether they taste good.
Yeah, it's the execution.
It's the execution.
Yeah.
Like, I probably spit off so many ideas. Like
I get very mad sometimes.
Yeah, because I just like sprinkle in. Oh, we should do all the cereals. You should do Lucky Charms. You should do all of these other things.
You should do this. Yeah. You should do that. It's like, yeah, but you're not making the pie.
This is true. So
you're just adding stuff to my plate.
Exactly.
But as far as like inspiration goes, like I could even see like a color and go off of that, or I see different flavor combinations and I'm like, ooh, I really like that, but I would change out this aspect of it.
Sure.
Or I taste something and I'm like, I really like this. How can I transfer this into a pie? Like right now I'm working on a carrot cake hand pie.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Which I'm also going to make into a 9-inch pie as well. So it's like all the components of a carrot cake, but in pie form. So I've deconstructed it and then reconstructed it into pie.
Yeah.
Which, why I would do that, I don't know.
But I mean, if the end result is great, that's how you have to do it.
And it's super tasty, and it's just a different way to experience some familiar flavors too. And that's what I really enjoy about pie, is that it's one of those things that it comes back to like my childhood, and for a lot of people, their childhood as well.
Yeah.
But doing these new things of like a carrot cake, hand pie, or the Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
Like, it's a new experience of something that you felt for so long.
Yeah.
And so it's that idea of like nostalgia and keeping vintage, but still using new ideas and new techniques. So
what are some of you guys' like favorite pies? Did you just start making stuff that you liked and then sold that pretty much? Is that
pretty much?
Yeah. And
like, I like these flavor combinations, so I'm gonna start here.
Yeah. Because what's your favorite like pie that you guys make? Or
probably the cherry pie.
Yeah.
It's not sweet, it's tart. I like it.
Yeah, that's also something that about my pies, I don't put as much sugar as most pies actually put in. I probably put about half to 2/3.
Okay.
So you're going to taste a lot more of the fruit flavors if I use fruit or other flavors that are actually in the pie.
Yeah.
My favorite pie. Ooh, that's hard. Because I obviously make things that
You like them all.
Well, my original one is the blueberry lemon curd hand pie. And I really like that because it's nice and tart, and I actually sweeten the blueberry compote with maple syrup, so it's a much more subtle sweetness to it.
Okay.
But I also really like this carrot cake.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Is there ever a point that you guys make something, like you have an idea and you get to the end result, you're like, what? This is not
Why
good.
did I do this?
All the time.
This is a bad. What was like a recent one that didn't work? Like you're like, oh, this is a good idea, but in reality, it's.
Well, and some of them that the initial execution of it is pretty terrible, and then I just start hacking away at it. I'm like, okay, how can I make this? Obviously, this portion isn't going to work the way that I thought it was. So how can I shift that idea? I can't think of any that are like.
Really think of anything, but like going off what Allison just said is that you just have to try something. You know, it's pie. It's not going to come out perfect every time. Every pie is a little bit different, but she wants it to. But you have to start. You have to start somewhere and start tweaking from there.
So I start throwing stuff together. So, but I wouldn't say that I've had any big duds, but like the first iteration of things, 9 times out of 10. Is never what it actually is when I have the final product. So like case in point, my honey matcha custard pie that I'm doing for Pie Day and St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of people are like, why would you put matcha in pie? Whatever. So I really like matcha.
Yeah.
I know it's also one of those like very polarizing topics too. But I was like, how can I put this into a pie and still make it taste good, especially for those that don't necessarily like matcha that much.
Yeah.
The first iteration looked like it came out of a small child.
Oh, like,
yeah. And I was like, well, that's probably not something that I want to serve people.
Yeah.
Tasted really good.
Yeah.
But the look of it, not great.
Yeah, because that's a component you don't really think about a lot of the time,
and I'm all about the visual. That's something that's very important to me, that not only do I want it to look good, I want it to taste good, and not just taste good, but it has to look good. So it has to have both components in it. But then also the easeability of actually like serving the pie itself.
Sure, yeah.
Just because I can cut it doesn't mean that somebody else can. So I want to make sure that whatever I do can be replicated for someone else.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing whenever I work on pies too, that it's going to be easy for everybody for the most part, obviously.
Yeah.
But then that honey matcha, I worked on it probably 4 or 5 different times. And it ended up being that it didn't have honey in it initially. So I added that in because I really like honey matcha lattes. And then I was like, well, it feels really flat. So I added some lime zest and lime juice, and it just brightened it just enough.
Okay.
But the color was still slightly off.
Yeah.
So I added the, I used to do a blackberry matcha hand pie where I made a matcha dough and actually put in blackberry filling and then topped it with a lime icing. And I was like, okay, I like those flavor components. Yeah. How can I put that in a pie? So the pie, the custard stayed the same, and then I just put a blackberry jam on top, and it was like, that's all it needed.
Okay.
So it's just building off those little bits of, okay, this component doesn't work, but I want this to work in some fashion. So how do I change that out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And starting out your business, what are like some of the challenges that you guys ran into? Because besides like getting the kitchen right off the bat, which was like a huge, probably like weight off your shoulders, what were some of the hard things that you guys ran into? Because I would assume, isn't it hard to find like ingredient? I don't know. Is it hard to find local stuff or?
Well, during the farmers markets, like during berry season, we definitely super easy to do it there. And then otherwise,
there's restaurant suppliers around
and everything else.
Mm-hmm. So if you're in the restaurant industry, you obviously
you know
that there's
a guy.
Or a few guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as getting set up with that and understand it, like we've been set up with a distributor.
Yeah.
But it's having the time to actually sit down and go through their list and make sure that they have what we want to order. And if they don't have it, where else are we going to source it from?
Yeah.
And because we've grown so fast, there isn't that time. So we've ended up having to just go run all our errands all the time rather than having it come to us.
Yeah.
Which once we actually have that, it will help immensely.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we just don't have the time to sit down and actually take care of that. So finding the ingredients isn't that hard. It's just the organizing of everything.
Sure. Is that how it's kind of come for you with the bit? It's like kind of the organizational stuff is the stuff you didn't think about at the beginning. That was like, it came up as more challenge. You're like, oh man, there's a lot more stuff than.
Well, there was a lot more stuff to do, but we just didn't anticipate the growth and the success that we had. Like, we didn't know. We thought 100 ham pies at a farmer's market would have been a great day for us.
Yeah, this is gonna be perfect.
This is gonna be okay, manageable. Should it
almost
be
1,000 ham pies a weekend later.
Right. I should also mention that I still work full time right now and have been for the last year.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's really just
Allison right now.
Yeah.
But
and I'm going a little crazy.
And I'm about to make that, decision.
Yeah.
If I
come on, hatched full time.
Yeah, come on, hatched full time, and
yeah. So so far since you guys have had such a insane growth, what has been like the coolest experience for you guys so far? Like from interacting with someone, or maybe like someone knew who you were because of the pies, or like, has there been any like really defining moments for you as far as the business so far?
Being in Edible Milwaukee 2 times in a row.
Oh yeah.
Like
that was really cool.
How viral all of this has become.
Yeah.
That, we were just talking about marketing and what our budget is for marketing, and we were just thinking the past year, we haven't spent anything.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything. It's all been social media. It's been Facebook. It's been Instagram.
Sure.
It's the face.
We don't have a website.
We still don't have a website.
Yeah, don't need one again.
We do need one.
And we're working on that now.
Yeah.
So how viral everything just took off, and the publication and the recognition we've had. On Milwaukee reached out to us.
Yeah.
In December of 2017, before we even launched anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Edible Milwaukee and Arthur and, you know, the people we met last year at the Wisconsin Foodie Smorgasbord, which we just got invited to again this year at Turner Hall. Mm-hmm. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's just the speed at everything's happening. Yeah.
And it's really interesting because our experience in the food world hasn't been in Milwaukee, so we don't have any connections to restaurants or industry workers here. So for us to have this type of growth without any connection already is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't take that for granted by any means.
Yeah.
Like, we're very thankful, and we understand we are very fortunate for that, because we wouldn't be where we are without the support of all of these other restaurateurs that are like, this is really great. Like Birch and Butcher taking us on a whim. Basically, they had only been open 4 months when they're like, hey, we're trying to get some pastries in here. Do you want to do this? And we're like, you don't even know me.
But I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
And from that, we've grown because we've been partnered with Birch and Butcher. Gregory Leone from Amalinda has been a supporter since day one.
Yeah.
He's kind of the reason why I took the leap of like, okay, I should do this.
Yeah.
I went to a Milwaukee Film Festival film, and I went to one of the discussions afterwards.
Yeah.
And I am not a person that speaks up in large groups of people.
Yeah.
And it was like 75 people, and I actually raised my hand and asked a question. And I asked the question of, how do you cope with starting a business?
Yeah.
What do you do when things get really hard?
Yeah.
Because obviously everybody asks, like, how do you start a business? What do you do? It's like nobody ever talks about the coping mechanisms that go with it. How do you deal with the stress?
Yeah.
And Greg initially was like, wait, you want to start a business? Don't do it. Don't do it.
But can you back out now?
Don't do it.
Don't do it, yeah.
And I was wearing a baker's gonna bake sweatshirt. And he's like, I'm guessing you're a baker. I was like, yes. Yes, I am. But I was like, what do you do yourself? And really, they all gave great advice of creating a support system, being patient with yourself, and understanding that there's going to be mistakes.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just that stepping point of like, okay, I can do this. So having people within the industry that we didn't know a year and a half ago that have been huge supporters has been phenomenal to us. And we couldn't be where we are without that help either. And then also just the community around us that Tosa has latched onto us like crazy.
Yeah.
And that's so great, and we love it. We love being in that neighborhood, and then Venture now being in Tosa area, and us being able to be part of that has been absolutely great.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are making like extremely high quality products. Otherwise, I don't think the growth would be, you know, where it's at too. So I think it's probably a lot of both, you know. But so speaking of that, you guys are doing Pie Days coming up, which is like your holiday for the pie industry.
Well, Thanksgiving's good too.
Thanksgiving was nuts.
Thanksgiving was absolutely crazy.
I was awake for 72 hours straight.
Was it just like people ordering just a ton of stuff?
So we opened up an online store. We opened up an online store for the holidays, and we just said, all right, let's see what happens. We just put it on Facebook. We put it on Instagram.
We're like, we'll get like 50 orders. Maybe 100 pies.
You guys keep grossly underestimating what's going to happen.
Yes. We had over 200 orders.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, people ordered over one pie.
Yep.
And then we also had wholesale orders on top of it. And then we also did a pop-up on top of that.
Which is also tricky too when we don't have a physical location.
Yeah.
Okay, I just sold 400 pies.
Where
am I going with these right now?
Yeah.
So thankfully, Birch and Butcher said, yeah, sure, you can just have a pickup spot here. I have people coming in, they're buying their turkeys from us.
Oh, okay.
Cornbread. Yeah, it won't be a problem. I don't think he understood how many pies we were going to be bringing to his shop. And his parents, or your parents,
my parents, ended
up having to like serve them out to everybody for like a 4-hour window.
Oh my gosh.
And
there were about 75 pies out there, which takes up a lot of space.
Yeah. So what was the turnaround from putting that out on the online store to like making and like just all those pies? Like,
well, we opened up the Thanksgiving ordering for about 5 weeks to allow people to like
try to come in a little slower and maybe it's not all at once.
And we're like, well, we don't know how far in it, because some people are really big planners, especially for Thanksgiving, that they want to make sure that they have everything in line.
Yeah.
And then there's others that are like, well,
oh man, I forgot a pie.
I forgot to do this. And so we wanted to kind of open that up. And it was slow starting, and then it just kept going. Yeah. And then we're like, okay, well, maybe it's slowed down a bit. And in the last week, we doubled in orders. And so as much as I was planning for everything, I was like, well let's punt. Let's do this. Yeah. And so we had about 4 days to prep between the end of ordering and then when everything needed to be completed.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
so you just nonstop worked pretty much for.
I was awake for 3 days straight. And I was baking for
life of a business.
37 hours. My oven was on for 37 hours straight.
With no issues.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good oven. That's a testimonial right there.
It was, because if that thing would have went down, we would have been done.
Yeah.
Out.
You know, we bought this thing used. We don't know the history of this machine. Mm-hmm. We just kept pushing that little guy, and it got us through.
Yeah.
And it got us through Christmas. Did the same type of thing. Wasn't as crazy as Thanksgiving. Also had a better plan going into Christmas. Same thing with Valentine's Day. Everything has been much more smooth every holiday that we've gone through.
Yeah.
And now coming up on Pie Day, I feel really confident.
Yeah.
My only concern is, though, that I was like, okay, if a lot of people don't order, how many are just going to show up and want pie? Yeah. So if you're out there and you're coming, let me know.
Right.
Please
tell me.
Yeah. I remember talking to our friend Pete from Pete's Pops and talking about what happens if you don't sell all your popsicles. Well, he takes his popsicles home and sells them again tomorrow.
Yeah, put them back in the freezer.
You know, pies, we don't have that opportunity of not, because we're a perishable item.
Yeah.
And, you know,
the shelf life is very short.
Yeah.
Right. It's very short.
Yeah. So you're taking a gamble every time. Like, there's been some losses over at Shorewood, you know, with weather. Yeah. Come in, bring out 100 hand pies, and it starts pouring rain.
Yep.
So
now what do I do with this?
Now what do I do with this?
Yeah.
So, you know, spread the love. We sell them.
Yeah.
Try to, at least.
Yeah.
But that's tough.
Yeah.
Never knowing where our next thing is.
Yeah. So for Pie Day, what's the premise? You're going to Pilcrow, right? Mm-hmm. And
so Pilcrow is where it kind of all started for us. We got connected with Pilcrow from a friend of ours in Door County. He's like, you got to check out this coffee shop. They're great. And from there, it was just this friendship that, I don't know, maybe it's not so much a friendship. The owner and Craig have an interesting relationship. They're basically the same person, so they hate each other but love each other all the same. Yeah. Yes, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's a very odd thing to watch. But we're coming back to Pilcrow. They're only open on the weekends right now, so they've been gracious enough to open up on a Thursday, which is unusual for them. Yeah. So we're going to be taking over the entire space. They're going to have their full espresso bar going with nitro tappers and everything. Oh, cool. So come in and get some pie. Yeah. Get a piece of pie, pick up your pie, get a Franken pie, which is 4 different flavors all in one pie. Yeah. Not mixed together, but separate slices. Some hand pies, whatever it may be. Get your coffee.
Is a retail space, is that something that you guys are looking at in the future? Like
Very much so. Yeah. You know,
and a lot sooner
than we maybe even anticipated. I think, you know, based on what we did last year for Thanksgiving, we pushed that kitchen to its max. Yeah. And we're about to take on another farmer's market in Brookfield, and that's a whole different set of customers that we didn't have before. Yeah. So now our reach is out even further. Yeah. So we need a larger space, otherwise we have to cap it off, and I don't want to deprive people of pie.
Yeah, people need pie.
Yeah, you don't want to say no. Of course we can get you your pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so retail location and a bigger kitchen is definitely in our future.
And we also understand that our welcome in some of these lovely places that have allowed us to pop up, it may be coming to an end at some point.
Yeah. So I guess going back to you leaving your job and doing this full time, was there like a run up to that, or were you just like one day, I'm done, this is too much? It's like
that was pretty much every day.
Well, I kept pushing her to stay at work longer and longer because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
didn't know where we were going to sell our pies. The farmers market season hasn't even started yet. Nothing going on, but there's a lot of other things that should have been done probably sooner.
We also knew that when I started the position that it was going to be a temporary thing, that this wasn't going to be something that I was going to grow with.
Yeah.
That there would be an end to it. And we knew there was going to be an end. We just didn't know when it was going to be. Okay. It came a lot sooner than we anticipated.
Yeah.
And for other various reasons, I quit when I did because things got really bad at the place that I was working. Okay. And it was like, well, this
seems
feels
right now.
This feels right.
That was good.
You know what? The stress level here, too much. Yeah. I'll create my own stress for myself.
Yeah.
Fine.
I don't need double stress.
Exactly. Yeah. So now all of my stress is just
it's your own stress.
Induced because I'm crazy. Yes. Yeah. So it wasn't anything that was like specifically.
No, it was just kind of the time.
Yeah. And I think just because in the back of our minds this was only going to be a temporary position for me, that I didn't get attached to anything there either. As much as I could. I mean, I get very emotionally involved in whatever I do. I'm very passionate about things.
Yeah.
Which is why you own your own business.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. And that's why I stay awake for 3 days straight.
You got to do it. Yeah. How did you guys meet? I don't think we ever talked about. How did you guys initially meet?
We met online.
Oh, really?
We are a millennial couple.
Yeah.
But before there was an app.
Yes. We met on OkCupid before there was an app.
Okay.
So we actually had to like email each other.
Wow.
Whoa.
Old school, guys.
Whoa.
I've never heard of such a thing.
For the record, I'm only 31.
Okay. And I'm only 30. So
yeah, I'm 27. We're all collectively close in the same age.
Yeah. We're not old.
Yeah.
I was just like one of the last ones to get a smartphone, I think.
Yeah. You didn't even have a smartphone.
We were talking about Zach, who was on the podcast too. He did not have a smartphone until like a month ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He had a Nokia.
Oh,
yeah. He tried to get his service at the Verizon, but they wouldn't do it. His old phone.
We also shared a phone before. So
we did share a phone in our lives.
Really?
When we lived in our van.
Oh yeah. What was that experience like? How long did you live in there?
123 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
With our 100-pound dog.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yep. Started in Alabama and made our way across the desert Southwest and
23 states later.
Wow.
We're here.
Here we are.
Still married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you guys stop and see along the way? And like, what were you doing?
We mostly ate food.
We ate our way through.
Yeah. It was an eating tour.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then, we did do our fair share of hiking.
We did a lot of hiking.
A lot of state parks, national parks along the way. So.
Yeah.
Did you guys pick a route or did you just drive anywhere?
So we didn't have like a specific route.
Yeah.
We knew along the way that if we got to a state that we for sure wanted to go to this place. Like we knew for sure we wanted to stop in New Orleans.
Yeah.
We knew we for sure wanted to get to the Grand Canyon, that we wanted to get to Vegas. Like all of these little bits.
Yeah.
But we didn't really care what other little routes happened. Like we weren't initially planning on going from Alabama back to Georgia to the East Coast and then looping back around.
Okay.
But we ended up going coast to coast.
Oh, wow.
And we also went to a ton of sporting events. I apparently love him a lot. We went to NHL games. We went to NFL games. We went to NBA games. We went to spring training.
Cotton Bowl.
We went to the Cotton Bowl when the Badgers were playing.
A little bit of everything.
Dallas.
We did.
Yeah.
We went to, in Vegas, there was the NCAA.
ACC tournament.
The ACC tournament.
And during this whole time, were you cool in a van together? Like, did the space make you irritated with each other
what did
at any
we figure
point?
out? In the 123 days, we figured that we spent maybe about 10 hours apart from each other.
Oh my God.
Total.
And that's bathroom and shower time.
Yeah, right.
And like a 3-hour walk where he was mad at me and walked away.
Yeah.
In New Mexico. And
It's
went
like
on
my
a hike.
dog and just walked.
I mean, if you can survive in a van 123 days together, I think you have a pretty good shot.
Yeah, it's a precursor for starting a business, basically.
Right, yeah. I think it'll be pretty okay.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, taught us how to just roll with the punches.
Yeah.
You know, just how things don't necessarily go to plan. You're like, well, here we are. What do we do? Let's fix it.
Or this place is closed. What do we have in the van that we can eat?
Right.
So, like, it was just those types of things. Or, like, if we had a conflict, working through it. Because, obviously...
Where are you going to go?
We're stuck together.
We're stuck.
Yeah.
Either we work through it...
Yeah.
Or we hate each other.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to be any fun.
Yeah.
So it really helped us work on our communication and realize, okay, this obviously triggers something in you.
Yeah.
Or this, obviously, I can't say it like this because you're going to get upset.
Yeah.
Or whatever it may be. Or understanding, okay, you're just tired.
So everyone should like take a road trip before they start a business because it seems like you learn a lot of good things.
Or get married or anything.
We've never flown together and we're about to fly together.
That should be fun.
Next, or in a couple weeks from now.
Next month.
Do you have a fear of flying or does anyone?
No.
We've just never traveled in an airplane before.
Oh, okay. I got you.
We've both traveled immensely overseas.
And stuff.
Yeah. We've lived other places and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where have you guys lived before?
Australia.
Oh, really? That was like my dream.
He didn't live there.
I used to want to live, like ever since I used to watch Steve Irwin as a kid, and it just made me want to live there.
Yep.
And I never got the chance. I haven't even got to go on. It's expensive to get over there.
It is.
Flights.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I lived there for a year. I was a live-in nanny,
cool.
an au pair for a family in Perth on the West Coast.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I was planning on moving back, and then I met this guy.
Yeah. And
7 years later.
There you go. Here we are, making pies.
It's okay. I ruined his life, too.
That's true. When she was in Australia, I was doing a gap year program, and I was in Southeast Asia and South America doing the same thing. And my plan was to leave, too, after I got back. And I wanted to go be a gaucho in Argentina. So I wanted to go hop on a horse and...
So instead, he learned how to drive a tractor.
So I drove a tractor instead.
Compromise.
I compromised.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Because I'd probably still be wandering around somewhere on this planet. Just going with it. Yeah.
So instead, we're wandering together.
So now we're just wandering together.
Well,
but now we have a goal in mind now.
Yeah.
So what are some of your goals with Hatch? Like, where do you want to be? You know, I mean, because like. It's hard to predict, I guess, with you guys because the success to this point has been unpredictable.
Yeah, we've not been able to predict anything.
Yeah. We haven't been able to predict anything, but the goal right now is to open up a retail shop.
Yeah.
And nothing big. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It doesn't have to be just...
Yeah, we don't necessarily want a restaurant. We want a place that people can feel comfortable and come and hang out and eat a piece of pie and maybe have a beer or a glass of wine or stop in the morning and grab some pastries and take to work. Kind of just like a pie bar, basically.
Yeah. And
like super simple.
You know, in San Diego, we came across this pie shop. What was it?
Popeye.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think on our trip, that really was like our aha moment. Like, this would do so well in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Comfort food, because they did savory as well too. So they have little pot pies. Yeah. Eventually, we'll do that as well.
Yeah.
But I was like, just a pot pie and beer in the middle of winter in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, pie in small forms. Oh, I love it.
Who
Anything
love
little.
It? Yeah, it's cute and it's delicious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just one of those things that I was like, I could do this.
Yeah.
This makes sense. Why aren't we doing this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we hadn't seen anything like it. And we're like, all right, we'll just tuck that away.
Yeah.
And then it finally came back. And yeah, that's definitely been a big inspiration for the actual start of it all. And just like little bits and pieces of like, okay, this popped up and we're like, okay, that makes sense. We should do that. Or people telling us like, you're really good at this, or you should do this, or whatever it may be. Like all these little pieces are now falling into place.
Yeah, because for a lot of, at least that I've seen, like people when they start businesses, it's like very deliberate. They're like, I'm gonna start this business, and then like they have this store and stuff. Where it seems like you guys kind of organically grew. You know, more. It was kind of like you said, the more of a go with the flow kind of thing.
And that's very much him.
That's very much me.
I'm very much a planner, but I have such a creative mind at the same time where I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this and see what people think of it.
Yeah.
And he's taught me a lot of patience in the fact that, okay, it may not go exactly how you thought it was, but it's going to go in a direction. And you can either choose to go with that direction or fight it.
Yeah.
And we've just chosen to go with the direction that all of this has pushed us in. Yeah. And it's made everything so much easier rather than fighting and like, well, okay, we don't have a retail location. Fine. Yeah. How are we going to work around that? Yeah. And we've made it work for us. We've also saved a lot of money by not having a retail location and that risk too. Because what if this business didn't work? Yeah. Then we'd be stuck with a lease or mortgage for something that is failing. Yeah. And at least now we know, okay, this is going to be a possible business that will succeed. Now we can take the risk of buying a retail location or leasing something and jump into that.
Yeah, I feel like the other way gives you a lot of excuses too not to do it. You're like, oh, we don't have a retail space. I guess I can't do it. Yeah, I can't start this business. You know,
that was the first thing for us. Was like, well, we don't have a commercial kitchen. I can't be producing products out of my house. I have a cat and dog. Like, no one wants that.
That's not certified anyway.
No, but then it's also funny because like he's like, you should just do it anyways and see what happens. Yeah. Well, when I finally relented was the same month that the cookie bill in the state of Wisconsin passed, so that people who were making homemade baked goods could actually sell them. Oh, Wisconsin and New Jersey were the last states to allow home baked goods in any type of sale.
That's such a weird law. I didn't even know existed.
It's very odd. Yeah. It's very odd. So then it was like, okay, I'm at least not breaking the law at this point.
You're illegally making and selling things.
And it gave me that little bit of, you're doing something that's okay. Yeah. You know you eventually want to grow to something bigger. So even if this is for a short amount of time, which it was a very short amount of time, it gave me that little bit of, it's okay. Yeah. You can do this instead of like completely blatantly breaking the law, which I'm a rule follower. Yeah. So
the cookie police have never knocked on our door.
No,
they're knocking
never
down
met
doors.
them. No.
Yeah.
No, we've not met the pie police either.
No.
Yeah. So I guess for Pie Day again, just tell everyone what you're doing. Make sure you go get your pies.
We'll have lots of extras, and you can come and get a slice of pie, hand pie. I'll have some extra Franken pies that'll have all 4 flavors of Fruity Pebbles, honey matcha, blueberry lemon meringue, and I forgot the last one now. Oh, Guinness chocolate cream.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
And it has whiskey caramel in it too.
Oh,
yeah.
Right in my alley.
Yeah. Let's go with those St. Patrick's Day flavors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So besides that, where else can people get your stuff? Like, where can they go? Birch and Butcher, you said.
Mm-hmm. Birch and Butcher carries our hand pies every day of the week. Okay. They open at 7:30 in the morning, so you want some stuff for work, stop on by. Yeah. Venture Brew Co. carries our slices of our 9-inch pies as well as hand pies on the weekends, so just Saturdays and Sundays. Okay. And currently Pilcrow carries our hand pies on Sundays.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you can hit up any of those, get some pie.
Mm-hmm. Then come this summer, we'll be at the Tulsa Farmers Market every Saturday morning. Brookfield Farmers Market every Saturday morning, and Shorewood on Sundays.
Yeah.
You have like a weekend tour of farmers markets in the summer.
Right.
That's our goal.
That's our goal.
And maybe we'll throw in another like weekday market. We don't know yet.
Yeah. That's still a mystery.
The Westtown Farmers Market, but we shall see. Okay. How that's gonna add up. So
time.
Yeah. Time. I mean, you guys
sanity.
Yeah, that's true. You only can push yourself so far before you go pie insane.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm over the edge at this point.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm hanging on to that twig that's sticking out of the cliff. Yeah. A little bit.
Well, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you guys coming on and chatting. This has been fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.